a lot of people are self-entitled. He goes, I don't read books, I write books. He goes, I don't listen to podcasts, I am on podcasts educating the world. He goes, we need more teachers instead of students, and we need more leaders instead of followers. And that's why I tell people, get a camera and start your own podcast. Writing books is the easiest time in the world, by the way. Publishers, you can self-publish, you can get a company. But anyway, to me, you're right. You can sit on the couch and watch podcasts day and night. You got to mention
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of the None of Your Business podcast. Today, we have for you a super special guest that's going to be inspiring and enlightening us. Please welcome Bruce Cardenas to the program.
Thank you very much.
Super excited to have you.
I love that shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
I've been to a few of their concerts.
Yeah, they were awesome.
They were here.
They were awesome. Yeah, right here.
Yeah,
Right there on the
we just
floor.
saw them. Yeah.
Yes. I'm super excited because everybody knows about your work, or at least they're coming to know about your work. I was talking with several people, like, listen, now you're becoming legendary. If you have a product out there and you're like hitting that sort of hump, you know who to turn to. You call in Bruce. But what I want to start with is before that, before we hit the jackpot, if you will, you make your mark. It's easy for people to look at you and be like, yeah, I wish I was him. I wish I was like that, because like that guy always gets it right. He's got the golden touch.
Wins.
You always win.
He's lucky.
I want to know about the losses. I want to know about the road to becoming who you are today.
Ooh, how far do you want to go back?
You're like, how much time do you have?
It's the big bumps that are the most important.
Absolutely. You know, if I went back to when I was held back in third grade because I didn't do well enough, I was run over by a car in third grade with one of my friends who died, and I had my leg broken in 4 spots, so I missed a year of school. So so I got held back, but it caused a domino effect. Every grade after that, I averaged C's and D's. My parents were excited if I got a C. Up until my final test in high school where I had to pass, I failed it. I was mortified because I couldn't walk with my classmates, and my girlfriend was the cheerleading captain, so I was devastated, right? So I had to go to summer school to get my diploma. So that started off my journey, kind of labeled, right? A little slow, I thought. Thank God, my whole dream, my pinnacle of my life would have been joining the Highbridge Police Department. It was a 6-man department. That's all I fantasized about it. They let me do ride-alongs. Yeah, I wanted to be a cop. My uncle was a cop. I was like, I'm going to be a cop in this town of Highbridge.
A 6-man?
6-person department.
Yeah, I mean, that's tiny.
Oh,
That's tiny.
I would do ride-alongs, and I'd be like, on Friday night, we might write a ticket. And I'd be like, oh my God.
It's an active evening.
I finally approached the chief one day. I'm a year out of high school. I'm like, okay, like, I'm working in the workforce. Like, how do I get in the police department? Thank God the chief said, Bruce, in his own kind words, you're young, you're dumb, and you're immature. That's what I took away. But if you go in the Marine Corps, I'll hire you the day you get out. He didn't say anything to the branch. Now, I left a little despondent thinking, I have to go to the Marine Corps just to come back to join Highbridge Police Department. Well, the next morning, I swear, I'm leaving for the gym because I thought I was going to be the next Arnold. I was in that year of bodybuilding, and my father's splitting wood in the backyard. He says, hey, I've been talking to your mother. You've been out of school for a year. Starting next month, and you start paying rent. What? I've graced you with my presence for 18 years, and now you want to start charging me? That actually was a catalyst to have me go in the Marine Corps. The chief's conversation was nice.
It was a seed planted.
But I think they both knew something.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to get out of Highbridge. So I grabbed my best friend and said, I'm going to the Marine Corps. You're coming with me? And we went, and I was like, there's a big world out here. Highbridge is not the world. So ended up getting out of the Marine Corps. That boyhood dream came true. I joined LAPD.
Wow.
Did that for 12 years full-time. It was the greatest job I ever had in the world. The worst in humanity, the best in humanity. Like, in the city of LA, you deal with a lot of crazy things. So, started a successful bodyguard business I was working off duty for extra money with a guy who owned a company. And I said, I think I want to be an entrepreneur. I started this business. And because relationships I was building, I'm taking care of Arnold and Stallone and the Kardashians and Madonna. I mean, this array of clients over the last years. I found myself one day sitting across a conference table from Mike Tyson, who had just split up from Don King. And my friend is his lawyer and goes, Bruce, I need to make sure he shows up for his next 3 fights. And I'm going to do that? So I just helped facilitate his camp. But I've just been so fortunate and blessed. And at 47 years old, I emphasize 47, I serendipitously meet the founders of Quest Nutrition in the gym, Shannon Pennant, goes by Quest Creator. We become fast gym acquaintances, and I start helping. There was something about the excitement in her eyes when she's telling me about these bars she's making in the kitchen. I was like, I want to help them. I don't know why.
This was very early on.
Yeah, they were newer.
Yeah.
I just felt compelled by her energy, and I'm a bodyguard.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm doing security at a celebrity golf tournament next week that Mario Lopez is hosting. Maybe I can get it in some people's hands, not directly, but to the publicist. I did that, and that started this relationship, which I almost can't describe. So for 9 months, I would see an opportunity, and I would just get product in people's hands. Not directly to the talent, it was always through a publicist or an agent. And Shannon's husband, Ron, invited me to lunch and said, hey, man, we're stealing from you. What do you mean? You're bringing us all this value. We're doing nothing for you. I swear to God, I said, Ron, I'm getting free protein bars. He laughed. I think he laughed in my face. I'm thinking, I'm doing quite well financially. I'm a bodyguard, and I'm getting free protein bars.
This is a great deal for me.
I literally, I mean, you know how sometimes you set your bar, and I'm like, I'm living life pretty good. And he said, well, starting next week, we're going to put you on the payroll. He goes, you give it to charity, do whatever you want, keep doing your bodyguard thing, keep it, because I was now a reserve with the sheriff because I left being full-time. And something kicked in. When I got that first paycheck, which it was like your average American salary, but it was still, and I was like, oh my God, now I got to start proving myself. Oh my God, they're paying me? Oh shit, what's the expectation now? But they set no expectations, but I set them on myself. I will say this, I became obsessed with what they were doing.
Wow.
And we went from being a protein bar company to a mission-based company. Like, we were changing lives, and people were writing us saying, I lost weight, I've got diabetes, I've got celiac disease. And literally, we became obsessed with the customer, not the competition. I always say that, be obsessed with your customer. So that's kind of the nutshell. I hope I summed it up pretty well.
I love that. I didn't know some of those parts of the story.
Yeah.
Well, and I really actually love the front part of the story because you were doing it just because you were trying to help people. I mean, so it was inside of you. You didn't, or maybe you were doing it for protein bars, but no, just kidding.
Well, no, but
no, you were really
so,
doing it just to help them out, you know?
So when I speak in public, I said, I like to bring value and I have no expectations in return.
Right.
I really did that. Now, earlier I did that when I was a kid. I didn't know, like, I got involved with the Boy Scouts and created a recycling program for the city. But there's things I used to always do that I didn't, in my brain, think, I'm doing this to help people. I just thought, it's in my DNA. I think because my dad did it, and it just evolved. And then I was traveling 40 weekends a year for 4 years straight. Yeah, I mean, I was on the road all the time. And Quest sold for $1 billion cash, and I became part of the executive, committee and, the team, and had some equity. And I swear to God, the minute we sold, Ron, the chairman, Shannon's husband, calls us to his house, which is, it's now vacant in West LA. He's renting it. He said, I want to start a company called Legendary Foods. We're going to make nut butters and seasoned nuts. That's because we didn't want any competition with Quest. We just sold. An NDA. No, we couldn't make protein.
Right.
And he goes, I need to remind you guys of something. We're poor. Forget the Quest days. We're working out of my house. We need to have the same mindset we had in the early days of Quest. Because some people get caught up in the minutia, and we're like, okay. And I remember there was about 8 of us he invited. He said, I need to know what you guys need to be compensated. We're going to pay you what you want, but we need to know. So I sent him an email saying, hey, thanks for the opportunity.
Free nut butter.
Yeah.
Kind of close. I think Legendary is going to be amazing. I don't need any compensation at this time. I asked for nothing.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, 4 years later, Legendary is doing about $400 million. We're valued at $400 million. All those other guys, I found out, because I never knew what everyone else for.
Yeah.
Some guys left Quest and like, I need $10,000 a month.
Oh.
I need $15,000 a month. None of them were there.
Yeah.
And I kind of reflect back and think, well, he did say, what do you guys really need? Because we're poor. Forget the Quest days. We're starting out renting my house. And I think people thought, oh yeah, but you made a lot of money, man. You can afford to pay. And anyway.
Well, and really what I loved about what he was talking about, it's that essence of like startup mode.
The mentality.
It's the mentality of startup mode. It's like, let's treat this business in the same way we did to grow Quest. So if that was the case, why would you be asking for a compensation you wouldn't have in those days? It doesn't give you the same
But
passion
people lose that mindset of that vision,
Yeah.
and just because you did, we did. We get a lot, oh, you guys got lucky, lightning in a bottle, Quest will never happen again. It's happening again.
Yeah.
But when we started, we didn't know, because we failed, right? Just because you have one successful company doesn't mean you don't fail 4 more times.
So now, like from those lessons, and
Yeah.
you reflect back, let's just like kind of string the whole thing
Yeah,
together. And then I also would love to get your perception. So reflecting back, and then as you look out on the world, what are some of the big sort of things that you see us entrepreneurs doing that you're like, gosh, I wish they understood
yeah.
this. What are we missing?
Yeah. So to me, it's a pretty simple formula. I believe it's not like I figured it out overnight. If you have a consumable item, a service, or an experience, which we all have, if you have a consumable item, it could be a cookie, a cracker. If you're a service, it could be a real estate experience. Everything about those, you need 1,000 screaming fans to start. And it has nothing to do with social media. I'm going to emphasize this. 1,000 screaming fans means this. If people like you, they're going to listen, right? If they trust you, they're going to buy from you. But if you transform their lives, which you can do in any one of those spaces, you transform people's lives, whether you're a trainer, you can transform someone's lives if you're a real estate agent. Make them feel like they're the most important person in the world, right? And same thing with the protein bar. I'm going to transform your life. They will then go to the highest mountaintop and scream your name. And you know this perfectly well. If you do a great job remodeling someone's bathroom, you're going to tell everyone, like, oh, man, oh, yeah, this guy redid my bathroom. It doesn't matter because people always say, oh, it's easy, Bruce, because you give out protein bars. It could still be the same whether you're a personal trainer.
Right.
A lot of my friends are personal trainers, and they walk around, they should hire me because I'm a big guy. I go, what you should actually do is approach that person, like, can I put you through a free complimentary workout? And if you like my service, maybe you'll hire me.
Yeah.
And the other thing I tell people I think it's in general. A lot of people are self-entitled. I remember once we had a little bit of success at Quest, people would come in applying for like director of marketing, and director. It was always cool stuff, right? With their application and their college degree.
Yeah.
And I'd hear it because they were always in the room next to me, and the doors were open. And partway through the interview, they would call me in and say, Bruce, can you mind telling this young lady or man, what did you do for us in the beginning? Oh, I said, help them for free for 9 months. And there's people sliding down in their chair. I always tell people this: if you can't get into a company, it sounds weird, right? But if you're trying to break into a company, worst case is say, you know what? Don't pay me anything. Let me just help you. Let me prove myself. And if after 2 months or 3 months or 6 months and you like the service I'm providing, hire me. I'm just saying is, just say you can't get in the door. But people are like, yeah, but I can't afford to. Well, if you got to work as a barista in the morning, do that until if you got to, you know what I mean? If you got to work as a whatever in the evening to cover your bills, but sometimes you have to get in that door. At 47 years old, you know this. If I walked in off the street with a resume, they'd be like, you're a bodyguard? No, we're good, bro. I just started bringing in value. And by the way, I had no intentions of where it was going to go. So I think people are in a world of instant gratification right now. You know this. Hey, how much money am I getting paid? I don't know. Can you bring us some value for it?
Well, and I think that's a really important point because there's a lot of negativity around this idea of the grind, right? People talk about that all the time. Well, you shouldn't have to grind. You shouldn't have to get out there and work. And you can work less and make more. You can be more effective and efficient. And you can work from home.
Laptop lifestyle.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And there are some of those, and I don't begrudge those. I think COVID caused that. Like people can sell stuff on Amazon. God bless those kids that are being millionaires at 19. I love it.
Amazing.
But that doesn't mean there's still other jobs that need to be accomplished.
Right. And so sometimes, though, when you're trying to take a business from, zero to a valuation of 400 million, I don't know that can be just done from the luxury of your home and on the beach. Like there is a requirement of hard work that comes to drive that up. So what would you say to somebody that feels like that shouldn't be necessary?
It's necessary. So a lot of companies still have not... what's it called? They work remotely, right?
Yeah.
At Legendary, we all come in.
Yeah.
It's just something we were coming in during COVID.
Culture thing.
It's nothing like seeing people. You get culture, excitement. We still go to Ron's house to watch UFC fights at night. We do things together. I think it's very hard to have a core, an exciting company, a culture, based on a Zoom call once a week.
Right.
It's to me, I still think getting together in person. Yes, I understand now people work all over the world, but even if you come together once a month, once a quarter, and it's important in person.
Yeah.
And one of the big things that led to your success was your ability to open doors, foster, create, develop, and maintain relationships.
Yeah.
Sitting across the table from Mike Tyson, how does that happen? A lot of people are like, man, well, again, that's because Bruce has all these relationships. The reason why he is who he is because his Rolodex is deep. Teach us, how do we go out into a world, if we're starting from zero, how do we create genuine relationships without always being that asking guy, the taker?
But I did the same thing. It's not like my Rolodex at one point was blank, empty,
Right.
right? I would just meet people, no different than now. I think now is the best time ever. All these, Dave Meltzers, these masterminds, these networking groups, these elevator nights. It is endless.
Right.
When I started out, there was nothing. Matter of fact, when I had some financial trouble in my security business, it was crazy. I was paying myself literally 8 times the amount of money I was as a cop. I was rich for all intents and purposes, right? But I didn't know anything about the back end of business, payroll, and I was scrambling one time because the payroll was due Friday. I remember my bookkeeper called me. The payroll is 75 grand. You only have 25 in the bank. As you explained, you have all this outstanding. You have to get clients to start paying you quicker. What was my point to that is, there was
The relationships.
Oh, so I started leaning. So then I realized I didn't have relationships then. There was no Dave Meltzer. If I knew these people now, I'd call and say, hey, man, I need 50 grand. How do I do this? I don't have credit at the bank. I could have asked any one of these people for a credit line or, hey, can you loan me 50? I'll give you 1% of my company. But my point is this. These relationships have to start somewhere. This is the greatest time on earth for relationship building. You know Dan Fleischman, right, with his elevator nights? Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, you don't need to travel all across the country to go to one of his events. Pop one up in your city. Get 10 realtors together, if that's what your thing is, or 10 people, and say, hey, I want to get together on Wednesday night. I'll bring all the food and drinks, and then all of a sudden it becomes that, and then it's 10 people, and it's 20 people, and it's 50 people, and it's 100 people, and next thing you got guest speakers coming in, but it's the greatest time in the world to build your Rolodex.
But you always provided value,
Yeah.
right? So you meet in the gym, and you're like, I'll pass your protein bars out. Teach us that, because everyone that we talk about or talk to says, oh, I don't have anything to offer.
Yeah.
Well, so it's interesting. Well, some of my friends always bust my chops because every time I go to a meeting, if I come empty-handed, which I never have, I'm almost devastated. I'll run to a store and buy my own product if I forget it, right? But my friends will say, oh, it's easy for Bruce, you have protein bars. I said, no, when I was a bodyguard, I went to Costco and bought these jars of candy, what hard candies, I don't know what they were. And I had a sticker made with my company logo on it. And every office I went to, I would give it to the secretary, the assistant, the executive, and say, whatever. Say, I just appreciate everything you guys do for me. Because they were always, let me tell you, the assistants were always a conduit, right?
Yeah.
Or the person that was on the set. So it's no different. One of my mottos is I never come empty-handed. And even people that want to build a business, yeah, it's kind of hard. You're in a real estate company. What are you going to give?
Right.
Squeezy ball or something. What I'm saying, or a cute Rubik's Cube. But also, I'm a marketing machine, and I don't know how I ever learned this, but my Jeep is wrapped out front. It's been wrapped 4 times. I normally, when at Quest, I wore Quest 7 days. My apparel, if I would go out to a nice dinner, I had a polo shirt, and it was embroidered. My girlfriends were a little upset about that. But sweatshirt 7 days a week, but everyone knew me as a Quest guy. I tell my friends, because I belong to like a bougie gym here, like an Equinox, right? A lot of my good-looking friends, they're realtors, they're mortgage brokers. I go, hey, what do you do? I said it's Lululemon, but who pays, why can't you have it thing Body by Susie or something? Just buy a home, ask me how. I mean, you could make some cool little cute tops, but people don't think like that. To me, it's also an easy conversation piece, right? Hey, I see it says, let me build your next house. Oh, you build homes? As a matter of fact, I do.
Love it. Hey, the last thing I want to close with is we have in common our love for this company, Cram Nutrition.
Love it.
We love
Who does not love peanut butter? Let me tell you right now.
Healthy peanut butter and jelly.
Let me just say this. The other day, I had a regular old peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm this is man.
This is not the same.
It's just, but Cram, that he's on to something. Does everyone knows about Cram, right?
Well, they should. But yes, go to www.cramnutrition.com. Stock up healthy peanut butter and jelly. It's the healthy alternative. Some of the bad stuff that's out there.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I don't really get behind brands I don't believe in. I get called all the time, and I'm like, if I like it, I'm going to get behind it. And he's on to something. Nothing better than a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with protein in it, and it still tastes good.
Yes,
it's going to be the future. Listen, I know these big corporations have nothing but sugar, but all we're always looking for is just 1% of the population to keep getting better, because diabetes is not going away and all the problems we have. So, yeah, I love their brand.
It's so good.
Well, I'm super happy that you are behind that brand, and we're super pumped. We love Cram Nutrition. Austin and Ruth are amazing individuals, and so I'm glad to see you on board. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Oh, thank you. I try to keep it brief.
I think some amazing nuggets in there, some valuable tips, and I hope that all of us will learn from this, because I was admiring the hat. And this is one of the things that I say.
Oh, one of my brands.
Yeah. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to eat, but few will hunt.
Few will hunt. And when people ask me, say, you tell me, what does that mean to you? Few will hunt. Hunting for business, hunting for relationships, hunting to bring value to the world. I mean, it's just a couple nice kids. I say kids are under 30, right?
Yeah.
They're out of Philadelphia, and they're going to be at an event I'm speaking at Friday. They're speaking, but they're just young entrepreneurs. They have a little apparel line, and it's American made, and they're just cool people. I like being around people that are like-minded and want to do good things in the world.
Yeah, well, you know what I always tell the listeners? Listening to podcasts is great, watching videos, great, but I've never seen anybody become a millionaire, build their business, become a better husband, better wife by just listening to content. You actually have to hunt. You have to get off the couch, and you got to do something. And so I hope that you've inspired some people to take some action.
I do. Can I address that? What
Absolutely.
you just said? One of my friends is always sees me. Oh, you got to get this book. Oh, I just listened to this amazing podcast. Oh, I just heard this great speaker. I finally said to him, I don't know. Nothing changes in your life. I love you like a brother, but I go, and so I had a very famous speaker. I was backstage, and people were huddling around him like they were Dave asking questions, and they said, "What books do you listen to? And what podcasts?" He goes, "I don't listen. I don't read books. I write books."
Oh.
He goes, "I don't listen to podcasts. I am on podcasts, educating the world." He goes, "We need more teachers instead of students, and we need more leaders instead of followers." And that's why I tell people, get a camera and start your own podcast. Writing books is the easiest time in the world, by the way. Publishers, you can self-publish, you can get a company. But anyway, to me, you're right. You can sit on the couch and watch podcasts day and night. You got to eventually implement some of those things, or it's just good entertainment.
I love it. Well, Bruce has given you plenty of things to take action on. Let's get going right away. Reach out to Bruce. Let him know how he has positively impacted your life. Like he said, he's here to make a positive change in all of us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back again next week with a brand new edition of the None of Your Business podcast.